you've ever wondered, wait a second, am I being emotionally abusive or am I being emotionally abused? Then today's video is for you. I will be interviewing Andrea J Lee, who is a well-known expert in the coaching field. She has written multiple books about the coaching industry and how to succeed as a coach. She's helped a lot of coaches as a coaching strategist and also had a 7-figure coaching business. But what's most remarkable about Andrea is that she has come forward as someone who was being emotionally abusive to her husband and realized it, and then went through a process to heal herself so that she stopped being emotionally abusive. And now she has done a PhD on the topic and is really advocating for resources for especially the abusers to help themselves heal if they are remorseful. So in this series of interviews with Andrea, we're going to be focusing on stopping emotional abuse, understanding really what it is and all the facets of it, so that especially as an abuser or someone who recognizes that you're being emotionally abusive, to heal and recover. We're focusing more on the abuser because there are lots of resources out there for victims of abuse and emotional abuse, and not nearly as many resources or even conversations happening about abusers and how remorseful abusers who recognize that they're being abusive can address their challenges and come out the other side healed and whole and able to have healthy relationships. So let's start by answering the question, what is emotional abuse? And for that, I'm going to be referring to this book. It's an amazing book by the industry expert in abuse, Beverly Engel. She has written so many books about physical, emotional, and sexual abuse and recovery. And one of the things that's amazing about her, she writes from the perspective both of how to heal as a victim of abuse and also how to stop being abusive if you are an abuser. This book, The Emotionally Abusive Relationship, How to Stop Being Abused and How to Stop Abusing, I feel should be required reading for anyone who wants to have a healthy, successful relationship. Because when you begin to go down the rabbit hole in this book and learn about the different things that constitute emotional abuse, you will probably, like I did, realize that many of the examples that you've seen out there of relationships are exhibiting the exact patterns that are really unhealthy, and she makes it really kind of undeniable, so we can all come out of denial about what makes a relationship unhealthy and what makes a relationship healthy. So Beverly defines emotional abuse in her book as any non-physical behavior that is designed to control, intimidate, subjugate, demean, punish, or isolate another person through the use of degradation, humiliation, or fear. She gives examples of different types of emotionally abusive behaviors, such as humiliation and degradation, discounting and negating, domination and control, judging and criticizing, accusing and blaming, trivial and unreasonable demands or expectations, emotional distancing and the silent treatment, and isolation. She explains that emotional abuse can also include more subtle forms of behavior such as withholding of attention or affection, disapproving, dismissive, contemptuous, or condescending looks, comments, and behavior, sulking and pouting, projection and accusations, subtle threats of abandonment, either physical or emotional. One of the things that I found really interesting in this book is that she explains that emotional abuse can also simply be an attitude that a person has, which is one of superiority, which is basically a position that's constantly putting your partner down, such as believing you are always right, believing everyone else is inferior to you, believing others should do as you say, not noticing how others feel, and not caring how others feel. So if you had one of those attitudes, the way that you approach your partner could be ongoingly emotionally abusive. She also defines symbolic violence as a part of emotional abuse. So things that wouldn't be necessarily touching the other person, but slamming doors, punching walls, shaking a fist, insinuating violence, those would also all be considered emotional abuse. In her book, she has a 20-question questionnaire to determine, are you being emotionally abused, and a 20-question questionnaire to determine if you are being emotionally abusive. And I really love these questions because it was just so clear by the end of reading the questionnaire whether or not I was one or the other or both, and it really made it undeniable. So again, I really highly recommend that you get a copy of this book and just have it as an ongoing resource for yourself and for anyone that you love, to basically for all of us to learn how to have healthy relationships and healthy behaviors. So now we'll hear from Andrea Lee about how she realized and woke up to the fact that she was being emotionally abusive in her relationship. It's such a powerful story, and I'm really excited to share her with you. Andrea, would you start off by just sharing a little bit about how that happened, how you recognized that you were being emotionally abusive, and then what you did to heal that?
Yeah, one of the main ways that I vividly realized that I was being emotionally abusive was when I saw that my husband had fear of me, um, like flinches when I was near, or like obviously like clammy hands, or like a little bit like a racing pulse, if we got into a tense conversation. But also, of course, if we were having a big fight, then it was obviously very fearful for him. There would be very He's normally a very even keeled, very emotionally steady person, and he would start to have um, large emotions also as a result of those fights. And seeing the pain in his eyes, honestly, was the thing that finally had me say, this is not right. This person that you love and who has loved you and is committed to you should not have this look of fear in their eyes. And, another way that I knew that I was being emotionally abusive was how much better and calmer things were when I wasn't around. When I would, travel for work and, would come back and things were really good. There was a flowering and a good energy from my husband, and that slowly would disintegrate. So I knew it was my behavior. It was very clear.
Wow, that's really well said. So, how long would that have gone on before you recognized it and then decided to do something about it?
At first, I think we had what could be called just regular fighting in a relationship. But I would say that it took me a good several years before I really came to terms with that this was emotional abuse. This was much more than your regular disagreements that you can have. Obviously you're two different humans, so you're going to have disagreements, but that the way in which these disagreements were happening had a violent nature to it. I was never physically abusive, but that there was a harmful, actively harmful, violent flavor to my behavior. Several years.
So, in summary, Andrea recognized these kind of involuntary fear responses. She saw the pain in her husband's eyes. It just really sounds like all that feedback finally got to her, and she felt empathy. And so from here, we're going to begin to explore the path forward if you are realizing that you're being emotionally abusive, on how to stop being emotionally abusive and to begin to heal. So in our next video, we're going to look at what is the number one most important first step that you can take to stop being emotionally abusive. To stay tuned for those videos, please subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell, and feel free to comment below. And I've included all of the resources in the description box below for you to be able to access Beverly Engel's book, to reach out to Andrea Lee and get in touch. So feel free to access any of the support and resources that are available to you here. And let's stop being emotionally abusive and let's stop being emotionally abused. Much love.